Now let's begin with the historic papal visit to Korea. Pope Francis has started his 5-day trip, his first to Asia as a pontiff and the first papal visit to Korea in 25 years, the last one coming in 1989 by Pope John Paul II. Now a welcoming ceremony at the presidential office of Cheong Wa Dae is believed to have just started. So let's go over to our presidential office correspondent Choi You-sun for more. You-sun.
Hyun-kyung, Pope Francis arrived through the Seoul military air base at 10:15 a.m. this morning, and after a private mass at the Vatican embassy in Seoul, he's now scheduled to make a courtesy call to President Park. Now, one thing to look out for today would be to what the President and the Pope will discuss and the message they will convey following their talks, especially in regards to inter-Korean relations and the historical differences that have caused tensions here in Northeast Asia. President Park, who greeted the pontiff at the airport, said she hoped that Koreans would be warmly consoled by his visit and that it would start an era of peace and reconciliation on the divided Korean peninsula. The Pope, in response, said he carried peace in his heart on his way here. 32 Catholics were invited to greet the Pope, including the families of the victims of April's deadly ferry disaster, to whom the Pope said he shared in their heartache and thinks of the victims. Hyun-kyung?
Well, we've been hearing about his schedule in bits and pieces, so do tell us more about what's ahead.
Well, on the papal itinerary that for the rest of the week include the Pope officiating a Mass to celebrate the Assumption of the Virgin Mary on Friday in the central city of Daejeon, and beatification of 124 Korean martyrs in downtown Seoul on Saturday. There will be 2 other Masses, one on Sunday to mark the closing of the 6th Asian Youth Day, and another one on Monday on peace and reconciliation on the Korean peninsula, to be held in Seoul at the Myeongdong Cathedral. Pope Francis, who had specifically prayed for peace on the divided Korean peninsula during his Easter Mass last year, is expected to deliver some sort of a message on easing tensions between the 2 Koreas during Monday's Mass. Seoul earlier this week proposed inter-Korean talks to seek improving ties, but we learned earlier today that Pyongyang fired 5 short-range rockets into the East Sea. It's also speculated the Pope will meet with Korean victims of Japan's wartime sex slavery during his trip. With President Park due to speak on Friday to mark Korea's liberation from Japan's colonial rule, it will be interesting to see what message the president makes concerning Japan's repeated denials of past atrocities and ways to improve bilateral ties. This was Choi You-sun reporting on Pope Francis's visit to Korea, and I'll be back with more details on our next newscast.